welcome back to my channel. My name is Niles. Thank you guys for being here. Um, if you guys have tapped in with me, you know that I'm kind of just talking about the workforce. I'm kind of talking about jobs. I'm talking about, economic outlooks and things like that, especially from a Gen Z, millennial, zillennial perspective. Today's video, I know it's kind of late and I'm inside the house because I need better lighting. Please excuse the quality of this video. This is the best I can do right now, so just bear with me. But I kind of want to talk about the future of work, right? This is something that a lot of us don't spend a lot of time on, whether it's because we've got to make it in our day to day or we're busy. You've got kids, you've got responsibilities. You don't have the time to posit what the future of work would be. But it's something that has been racking my brain, and I really wanted to discuss this in light of a couple situations right now. We're talking about mass tech layoffs, we're talking about inequality, wealth inequality, we're talking about strikes, we're talking about rising interest rates. We, I think, as an American populace, and just a global populace in general, because we are a connected global economy because of neoliberalism, I think that we should definitely start to have this conversation. So let's go ahead and get into it. I don't want to take too much of your time. I've actually got a hard stop in a few. I kind of sound like corporate Aaron now, but let's jump into this, right? So, what is the future of work, and what do I mean by that? An overview. Let's just jump into a historical analysis. So, essentially, for as long as humans have been on this planet, we have paired our self worth to work, right? It's been paired to manhood. It's even paired to womanhood because work in the home is also work. But we have paired our self worth, our mental health, as well as our self worth and well being to the ability to work. We can go back as far as hunter gatherer societies. If you did not get up and work, you would not eat, right? And that has kind of continued the process for how work has been defined. We've had a few theorists talk about it, the idea of work, from pro capitalist to communism, socialism, different ways in which we organize work. But work has been essential to the human experience, especially on this planet. If you are here, you're working in one form or fashion, right? So, like I said and I mentioned, from hunter gatherer to the plebeian to industrial revolution, we have always paired ourselves to work because we have been the drivers of change in society, and work is that tool. We would not have many of the things we have now, even as simple as this laptop, this pen, my do rag. Somebody put in work to make this happen, right? There have been times when we've had to correct the way work has been addressed. I'm talking about child labor laws. I'm talking about, children who faced some terrible circumstances in the textile industry in New York, and rewriting entire laws around work on that side. I'm talking about unions. I'm talking about HR practices, right? We are always able to curtail and to challenge the way existing work has moved. But as we come into a new place, we always enter new challenges, right? And let me just go ahead and say this now: humans have always been able to make it work. And no pun intended there, but we've always found a way in which we could circumvent the challenges that find us. So here's part two: new technologies. Technology has always shifted the way in which work happens, right? So let's go to Henry Ford with his, I'm missing the name of it, but he created a new style of work in his factories that made work more efficient. We have new technologies like the television, which some people thought would put books out of business. We have new technology like the internet, right, which has digitalized the way in which we view media. And as we've seen recently, Best Buy took off all of their physical products, I'm talking about media products, from their stores, and they're going to continue to do that in their stores. So new technologies always challenge the way in which we work. And like I said, humans have always been able to circumvent those issues and catch up in time because there's just been, a level. All right, TVs are now a big thing, so we don't need newspapers as much. A lot of people in the newspaper industry face layoffs, from the delivery boy to the actual printing press, but we find new ways around that. There are new jobs, TV anchors, people who can work cameras. Skills move, skills shift, people get new jobs. That's kind of how it goes, and that's okay, right? This is the situation we live in. This is the things we deal with. Um, but it's kind of concerning because I feel like we are in a very different time. And what do I mean by that? Sorry. Okay. What do I mean by that? Was my heart stop. But what do I mean by that? We are in a place of wealth inequality where most of the wealth is circulated between the top 10 and 1%, wage stagnation, as in people are not getting paid more even though prices are going up, and the biggest thing of all right now is artificial intelligence. We have reached a place where it's almost as if we are outpacing our ability to circumvent the issues. And I want to hone in specifically on this idea of artificial intelligence. AI is capable of doing so much. And I've used it in my own day to day, whether it's helping me to create cover letters, refine my resume, helping me to proofread my articles. It even at one point before OpenAI addressed it, was able to give me some legal, you know, advice on a few different things. And it has been immensely grateful in my life. But as we continue to move forward and we look at the implementation of AI across all different sectors, and let's just look at truck drivers specifically, where we are looking at now automated trucking, you take out the ability for a large sector of regular skilled workers, and I'm not saying they're bad or they're good or they're stupid or dumb, because they're not, but people who can go to work and get a job. And let me just remind you, people who are pairing their self-worth, mental health, and well-being to being able to get up and go work. AI is close to eradicating a lot of jobs. And I actually want to just discuss really quickly the SAG-AFTRA, I believe that's the name of the union, the strikes that took place last summer in 2023. We had most of Hollywood striking, if not all of Hollywood striking, because the major companies, Paramount, Warner Brothers, those who were unwilling to negotiate their contracts, were approaching a point in time when they were prepared to use AI to write new materials. It's very, very scary, right? And that's just one instance. And I gave you a second with the truck industry. But this can happen across the board. Any regular skilled job, whether it's a writer, I'm talking about you're in some newsroom or something of the sort, or trucking, if the implementation is there, any industry can be affected by this. And it's very important that we start to look at the consequences of what this is going to do to our society, given the place we are in. And I mentioned this before: inequality, wage stagnation, and things of that nature. You understand what I'm saying. So I'm saying this because I wanted to give a bit of context before I get into what I think we are approaching and what humans should do. I'm in a place where I have had this question kind of rolling around in my head ever since grad school. I was a political science major at NYU, and just being with people of different backgrounds and friends of different areas, and even growing up in the places I've grown up on the East Coast, some experience in the West, and traveling Europe, I understand the fundamentals, and also being a first generation American of immigrant parents, I understand the fundamentals of what it means to work, right? Work is what got my family here, work and study. And we are approaching a new precipice, a new generation, where there's a potential for layoffs and just people not being able to find work across the board. And it's very, very frightening because, like I said, people pair their self-worth, their mental health to these jobs. And so as I look at this question, it doesn't become, do we get rid of AI, Or do we stop the technological processes that are happening? Because that's not the solution. These technologies are very much needed. You've seen what they've done in the medical field. You've seen the work they've done with mathematicians and scientists. Like, they're able to solve quantum computing medical issues that have been unable to be solved for the last few years. It's not a question of getting rid of AI. It's more so, how do we, like I said, always we have been able to, how do we circumvent this rush of new technology? Because now we're in a place where it's going to be very hard for us to beat the system. And that was a poor choice of words because I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's going to be very hard for us to circumvent the implementation of AI. If it's coming this quickly and it's attacking, again, poor choice of words, if it's coming this quickly and it's being implemented in sectors, almost all sectors, how do we sustain ourselves? How do we find a sense of self-worth? How do we find a sense of well-being? And it's funny, I think it's ironic, but being it that I have not been able to find a job, the last 2-3 years have kind of been my journey to doing that. Now, I don't have the answer for you yet, and that's not what the point of this video is. But it really is to discuss this idea of pairing self-worth and ability to getting up and working. What do we as a human collective and a society do when you cannot get up and go to work because work is handled for you? What do we get up and do when you don't have to go get food because food is brought to you? What do we get up and do when you don't have to make art or content, it's given to you? I say this because, this may be too quick of a video. We may be 100 years out from this, but at the same time, we may not. I don't know about you, but I grew up at the time of the implementation of the home computer. I remember being early 2000 when my mother worked in legal technology, and she had access to technology from her company, which she was able to bring home to us, my brother and I, and also donate to my schools. That was huge at a time because years before then, we had house phones. I still remember growing up with a house phone, a cord on the phone. You couldn't walk past the kitchen too far because you couldn't get on the phone, right? What I'm saying is that between then and now, which is 20 years later, we are now in a place of artificial intelligence where it's creating our content, it's creating our art, it's solving our problems, it's doing a lot more than we expected it could do. And I'm not sure if you are aware or if you have studied this, but a lot of the founders of these AI projects, from Google to OpenAI, are very hush-hush and concerned about the role of AI in society from a weapon standpoint or a bad actor standpoint. But I'm not here to give you some harmful or scary view of what that might be. I really want to discuss our role as humans moving forward. My generation is going to be that generation that is going to have to lead this charge. As in, what do we do with our time? How do we find self-worth? How do we find a sense of independence without having a day job? How do we find and make ourselves okay with this? This is going to be us challenging our biology because, like I said, since the dawn of time, we have had to get up and work. Since the dawn of time, our sense of importance comes from work. Anyway, so my family member's on the phone right now, so you're probably hearing them in the background, and I don't want to take too much more time. But all I'm saying is we have got to start thinking about what we are going to do as a collective society about our own ability to find purpose in our days. And that is the ultimate point of this video. I'm so glad that was a perfect choice of words. Finding purpose. How do we as humans find purpose when it's not tied to work? All right? I'm not even going to get into the economics, where the money's going to go. how tech is going to only benefit the people who have access to it and have money to it for it right now. But this is the idea that I'm moving with. And I'm really excited to have this conversation, and I'm hoping to be back next with more ideas. But I just wanted to put that forward. What does the future of work look like when humans find no purpose in work anymore, or are unable to, because we have technology that's going to solve that? Again, this could be 100 years or it could be 20 years down the line, but we have to be ready. And right now, not our governments, not our intellectual leaders, not our community leaders are even having this discussion, because we are still in this position. And this may be a new form of societal arrangement, like not communism, not capitalism, not socialism. This may be a new form of that, right? Humans and technology together. We have to be ready for that. So I'll leave you with that this evening. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will be back soon to discuss more about this. I'm going to be thinking about some ideas. I'm looking down here at my paperwork because I'm always writing something before I speak here. But leaving you with this: how do humans find purpose without work? Thanks, guys. Take care.